This is why I think Liverpool will crumble in the next 2 years, or at least decline by quite a lot. And before we start, I just want to say I'm a Chelsea fan, so I'm going to be a bit biased, not too biased, but I'm only going to talk about Liverpool pretty much. And before I start, could you like, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know, will Liverpool actually crumble in 2 years? Okay, now it's kind of crazy to say this because they're looking to be one of the best squads, at least the best starting 11s right now in the world. And I just made a video on Liverpool's potential starting 11. You should check that out if you want. And they have a scary attack, a great midfield, and their defense is robust. And they have probably the best keeper this season, or at least one of the best. And the reason I'm going to say they're going to decline is because of contracts and the age of the squad. Now let's start off with contracts. Now Salah and Van Dijk's contract is going to expire in 2 years, 2027. And also Alisson, and let's go with age then. Alisson is about 32, and we got Van Dijk and Salah, they're getting close to the mid-30s. And even Diaz, who just left, is 28, so we won't count him. But even Gakpo's kind of old, and they've been bringing in fresh young players. But in 2 years' time, the best attacker is probably going to be old. He will either be too old to play, or his stats will dramatically decline. Van Dijk, he won't be. His mind will be probably much better. His physicality, what makes him so great is people not being able to get past him. People might start getting past him, and that'll make him a much lesser defender. And Alisson, he'll get old, and he probably, he'll start declining in age. But goalkeepers, they do last a lot longer, so maybe you could, be off with Alisson. Now contracts, Salah and Van Dijk contract to both expire, and I don't think they're going to renew again. What I think is going to happen is he's going to go to Saudi Arabia and get that big money, get that big payday. And Van Dijk, I'm not too sure about him, but I don't think he'll want to stay because he's achieved, everything that he has except the Club World Cup, which, the only world champions Chelsea have. And should he, renew his contract again? For what though? He's won the Premier League, he's won the Champions League, he's won the FA Cup, he's won the Carabao Cup. Why should he, extend his contract? If anything, it probably hurts his legacy if he extends his contract after 2027. He's getting old. I'm not saying he's an awful defender probably by then, but I'm saying he'll still be elite, but, I feel he'd damage your legacy. If I was him, I'd go off to Saudi Arabia, go to an easy league, or just switch teams, I feel like, or go to another league. That's why I'd advise him. Go to Syria, probably suit him. Alisson, him being old isn't too much a factor. You know why? Because of their backups. Now, if you don't know, Mamardashvili, he signed, I think, last year to be the backup for Alisson, or at least understudy. I think he might have been on loan last year. I'm not too sure, but basically they have Mamardashvili in goal. And I think 1 or 2 years ago he exploded, and metaphorically, and he was an absolutely insane keeper. I think he plays for Georgia, the country, and he was an absolutely insane keeper, and he's definitely a great goalkeeper. So when Alisson goes, he will be replaced by Mamardashvili. It's a bit of a downgrade, but not too much of a downgrade. And Liverpool also sold Kelleher, so they're really trusting in Mamardashvili to replace Alisson. And I feel like Mamardashvili, he's a great replacement, and I think he'll do well once 2027 hits, or once Alisson starts to decline. Then let's talk about Van Dijk's backups. Now, once Van Dijk gets to 2027, he's going to be in his mid-30s. What's he going to do? I mean, he's going to be old, isn't he? And what elite centre-back at a good price would want to go to Liverpool? No one will want to go to Liverpool, but how are Liverpool going to afford this? The other thing you've got to remember is that Liverpool is spending a lot right now, spending about 300 to 400 million. And I know it's kind of ironic for a Chelsea fan to say this, but that's way too much. And I feel like they're not going to be able to spend in 2 or 3 years' time. They're definitely not going to be able to spend in next year's, and definitely not in January. So that only, leaves in 2 to 3 years' time. And that's when Van Dijk's going to be gone. Who would replace him? Who's actually an elite centre-back nowadays? You probably could get Pastonias, but is he going to leave Inter Milan? Are you telling me? It doesn't look like so. Because these Italian players, they're very loyal. Now, I'm not saying all of them are loyal, but once there's a few of them that are, I don't have to explain it, but they're a bit more loyal than other nationalities. Because once they got a club, because in Italy, football is their life. once they go to a club and they are tiny bit loyal, they'll stay there forever. I feel like Bastoni might do that. And you got other centre backs who could replace Van Dijk, but even then, it's going to be a step down. No matter who it is, whoever is going to replace Van Dijk is going to have big shoes to fill in. The next, Salah. I mean, who's actually going to replace Salah? Who right now, at a decent price, not even at a decent price, who right now can even match Salah's numbers? I mean, you got Rafinha, you got Yamal, but I don't think they're going to leave Barcelona for Liverpool. I mean, I don't think Liverpool and Leeds are enemies, so Rafinha could go. It's not that. It's just why would he leave Barcelona when he's doing so great and he's loving life in Barcelona? Like, who'd want to go from Barcelona to Liverpool? It's so great in Barcelona. Why would you leave them? Who else you got? You got Diaz. He doesn't really replace Salah, does he? You've got Mbappe, but he's at Real Madrid. Why would you want to go to Liverpool? I mean, really, who's going to replace Salah? You could put Rodrigo, but I'm sorry, he's no Salah. And I feel like when Salah goes, it's going to be a big hole. And I feel like what happened to Ronaldo at Man United, they couldn't really replace him. They got a decent player in Nani, but they couldn't really replace him. I feel like that's what's going to happen at Liverpool. And it's nothing to do on Liverpool's recruitment. I feel like they probably do good recruitment. But I think it'll take a long time until we get someone of Salah's quality in the Premier League, at least playing for Liverpool. And it's just that nowadays wingers, their ability isn't that good, like compared to 10 years ago. Nowadays wingers aren't that good, and that's why I feel like you won't get a Salah, someone who's as good as Salah, anytime soon. And unless you do, then I think Liverpool are set. But I feel like after 2027, you haven't got Salah, you haven't got Van Dijk. Who's going to replace him? I feel like they're going to have a big fall off. Come back to this video in 2 years' time and clown on me if you want. But I feel like they're going to have a big downfall. Let me know, am I overreacting? Am I a Chelsea fan? Am I hating on them for this? I'm probably not. But anyways, could you like, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know. Do you think Liverpool will fall off in 2 years' time? Thank you for watching.